right. Good evening, and happy Monday, everyone. I am so excited for yet another episode. We are back for week 3 of Keeping It Classy with Krysta. Yours truly. I am Krysta, the host of this show, the hostess with the mostest. And first, can we just get into my outfit today? With Barbie coming out, I just wanted to represent, and of course, my brand. I gotta have the print, but I thought this was super cute, so I wanted to wear it tonight. So please, you guys already know the drill. If you're here live with me, please give me a hashtag live. If you are catching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. So this is now week 3. I'm really excited because this is just something that I've been wanting to do for a really, really long time. So the fact that I'm here and live and on my 3rd installment of this is really just exciting. And I just appreciate all the support from everyone tuning in and just the feedback. I'm always taking suggestions on show topics. So if you have any questions or any topics that you'd like to see me touch on, feel free to reach out to me on any platform. I'm always open for that. So today's topic, is really, really important. And it is 10 things to know before you start your style journey. And the last couple of weeks have really been just about foundational content, me discussing what I do. And of course, I'll be sharing that just throughout each of the lives. But I wanted to really focus on just building the foundation and to give you all an idea of just kind of what to expect. And so that's what I really was focusing on just these first few episodes. And so I wanted to talk about just what is important to know even before you start your style journey. I work with a lot of clients, or I get some consultations where individuals will reach out, or they will see my brand, or they will know that they want a change, but they don't necessarily know either how to articulate it or what exactly they need. So I figured that I would go ahead and just share some questions and just things to think about before you even go into this journey, because it really, really, truly is a journey. And if I can give anyone just advice about this style journey, is that, well, 2 things really. Number 1, give yourself grace. You might not get it right the first time. It might be a little bit uncomfortable. There may be some personal things that come up, maybe from your past or some, past experiences that might be a little bit triggering. Things definitely come up during the first portion of just working with me. And so I always say, just give yourself grace, be vulnerable in the process, and be open to what can change. And then the second thing, actually, I just kind of alluded to it, is that you are always evolving. You as an individual, you should be, let me put it that way. You should be always evolving, always growing. And your style does too. I do not dress the same way that I did years and years ago. Some things are still different. I mean, some things are staples, like the print. Literally in high school, I got the nickname Cheetah Girl because I would always wear this print. And clearly here I am years and years and years later, still sticking to the brand. So some things might not change, things that are important to you, but overall, just the style journey, give yourself grace to grow, to evolve, and be open to that changing process. So tonight, I wanted to share just a few questions that I feel, based on my experience from when I am working with individuals, what truly allows you to be successful when you are starting the style journey. And today I actually have a little bubbly. So funny story, the first live that I did, for those of you that were on, I actually had some champagne, I believe, just to kick off the live. And I remember I was so nervous. I didn't drink anything. So we're going to run it back. Now I'm a little bit more comfortable. So I'm celebrating. Here we are kicking off week 3. So cheers if you have your drink. And we're going to get this party started. All right. So starting off, just want to give you all a quick refresh. So as an image consultant, I focus on the ABCDs of personal branding. So that is going to be number 1, appearance. That can be your wardrobe, how you style your hair, your makeup. My specific expertise is going to be wardrobe. However, I can give guidance based on the occasion on makeup, hair. I am by no means an expert in those areas. But again, I can consult and give some guidance based on that. The next is going to be the B, behavior. And this is truly, how do you show up? When you walk into a room, how do you show up? Are you intimidated? Are you exuding confidence? And we can work on different tools and resources to help you show up and portray the image that you are truly called to portray. Who are you as an individual, and how do you properly articulate your value, your unique value proposition, right? So that is going to be behavior. The next is going to be C, which is communication. Now, this again can be verbal or nonverbal. We know that 93% of communication has nothing to do with words. So it's your body language, it's your tone, it is just how you say it, right? Your facial expressions, but only 7% is actually your words. So it's important to think about the other 93% and what you are communicating to your audience, okay? And then the last is going to be the D, which is your digital footprint. And we all know that an online presence is so important, no matter where you are on the food chain, whether you're an intern or whether you're in the C-suite. It's important to have a strong online presence that truly reflects your brand in a positive light, an authentic light, okay? Great. All right. Well, that was the review class. So now we are going to start digging into the actual content of what it is important to know before you even start your style journey. So these are not mandatory to know, but I do think it's important to at least take note of this and do some reflection, because part of the process, you play a huge part in this process, right? A lot of times people want just everything done for them. But in order to truly be your authentic self and to elevate your authentic self, authenticity is always going to be one of my core values. So if you do work with me, I'm always going to try to pull out who you are as an individual and then elevate that. I don't necessarily want to completely change everything about you, because what I've noticed is when people totally flip who they are, they're uncomfortable. And it's obvious, right? But when you are authentic, when you're confident, and you truly, truly do feel confident about who you are as an individual, you show up differently. And I say that all the time, that corporations are now shifting to want to see you show up as your true authentic self and to bring your personal brand into the professional landscape. All right. So the first question that is important for you, or it's not really a question, but for you to consider, is to use 3 to 5 words that describe your current personal style. So professional background, I do a lot of project management work. I'm also Six Sigma certified. And so with a lot of my experience, we do a lot of transformation. So whether that's through value stream mapping, and now I'm getting a little technical with my terms, but essentially there's a current state and a future state. And every project has those two, right? You have your starting point and then you have your end goal. So it's important to understand and articulate what your current brand is. And if you don't know what it is, then that's a different process. Okay. But it's important to come in and at least know who you are currently in order to truly articulate even the future state and where you want to go. It's very difficult, just to be honest. Even from my end, when I get clients that are like, oh, I just want to be more polished, or oh, I just want to show up more professional. But it's like, okay, but what exactly does that mean? And what do you look like today that might not be portraying that? So, again, understanding the 3 to 5 words that describe your personal style. And I think it's also important to even ask some of your coworkers or your family members or your significant other. Ask someone else to, see what they think your personal style is, because sometimes we might say, like I might say, oh, my style is very classic and polished and creative and all these things. And someone might see, oh, no, I really don't see that at all. I see X, Y, and Z. And it could be something positive, it doesn't have to be negative. It could be like, oh, I think you're really, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, you're very daring. And, I might be like, oh, okay, I never even thought of that. So I challenge you when it comes to describing your personal style, pull in a couple people from the outside and see what they say. All right. Hey, Kendra, thank you for joining, Boo. All right. So the second question is, why do you feel you need a change? So again, this goes back to understanding current state, right? And then that future state. I cannot tell you how difficult it is just for my job when I work with clients that actually don't want to go outside of their norm, right? They are stuck in this very restricted wardrobe, and it can be very frustrating. So I always want to ask, number one, do you think you need a change? And I'm assuming yes, because you're booking time with me. But let's talk about why. Is this something that was internal? Something that you came up with? Was a boss, did a boss suggest this? Was this a significant other? Because, all of these can have an impact on how you even approach the situation. And I've seen multiple variations of it, and it ultimately does affect how you show up, right? We talked last week, I believe, about just what are your motivators, right? So, again, why do you feel that you need a change? Very, very important. And also understanding what's not working for you. Is it, maybe your clothes don't fit anymore, which is a real thing, right? We talked about evolving. Maybe your clothes don't fit. Maybe you're getting frustrated every morning when you get dressed. Okay, let's talk about what is the change that you need and why do you need it? All right. The next question that is important to ask is, what is the number one challenge you face with your personal style? And the reason why it's so important to dig into this is because, first of all, there's several challenges, right? Like, I have challenges, but for me, and also for you as an individual, I want to know what is the thing that is bringing you the most pain, because that is going to be my focus. If it's a matter of, you have your clothing in your closet, you're satisfied with what you have in your closet, but you just don't know how to piece things together. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how to reconfigure the clothing that's in your wardrobe versus trying to continuously add to it, right? Because sometimes we always think, oh, I just need new clothes, or I just need new this, new that. But, maybe it's just time to get a little bit creative and do some mixing and matching. We can get in a rut a lot of times and just have our go-tos. And sometimes it's okay to switch it up, right? Or maybe you just don't know what looks good on you. Maybe you've had a life transformation. Either you just had a baby or you just lost a ton of weight, right? And so now you're trying to figure out, with this new body, what actually looks good on me? And it's okay to get another opinion on that, especially if it's something that's new for you. So, again, understanding what is that number one challenge? Do you just hate shopping? Some people are actually stylish and they just don't want to go to the malls. Ever since COVID, or ever since, a lot of people work from home or have this hybrid. So the malls, I feel like, are always packed. Costco, always packed. I'd be like, don't you guys have desk jobs? No, just kidding. But no, seriously though, some people just don't want the headache of being out in public, and that's totally fine. That's why there's a personal shopping service, right? So again, understanding what that challenge is and being clear on that. The next thing, we are going to talk a little bit about just self-awareness. So number one, well, this is question number 4. But first, I love showing off my blank, which is my favorite part of my body. Everybody should have a favorite part of your body that you like to show off. And this is important because when you get dressed, you want to highlight these areas, right? And why do you want to highlight these areas? Because it's going to allow you to exude even more confidence, right? So if I know, so for me personally, and it's a little strange, well, it's actually not strange, but I love my clavicles, my collarbones, you guys. That's literally my favorite thing to highlight. So a lot of times, like special occasions, I like to do like a sweetheart neckline, strapless, or even like a one sleeve, because I don't know, something about my collarbones, it just makes me feel great. So I choose clothing that's going to highlight that, right? For some people, it's their legs. For some people, it's their arms. And so understanding what your body parts that you want to highlight are, and then highlighting those through shopping is going to help you build confidence, right? Because you want to show your legs, and when you step into that room and you have on that beautiful dress, you're going to just show up even more confident when you know that you are showing off your favorite body part. Now, I want to be clear on this. It all boils down to what the occasion is, and of course, you want to be appropriate, right? So, no midriffs in the workplace, even if you have abs and you've been working in the gym. Time and a place, okay? So and I can help you figure that out if you have issues and difficulties knowing when something is appropriate versus when it's not. So I'm still pretty traditional in some things, and one of those is midriffs at work. I won't style my clients that way. But again, it depends on your job. But in corporate, no, I'm not gonna suggest that. Call me old school, but yes. Okay, and then so the next question, I shop for items that camouflage and hide my ex. Now, this is when vulnerability comes in. And this is why it's so important that when we talk about the C and the classy method is the conversation, right? This is how I build your client profile. And this is really where I get to know you as an individual. And so understanding some of your pain points in terms of your body is important for me because, again, if we go back to my example, if you're insecure about your legs, let's say maybe you had a surgery and you have a really large scar on your leg that makes you feel uncomfortable. Or maybe they're just not as toned as they used to be. Everybody has their reasons for wanting to kind of hide and camouflage things. And so my job is not to expose those things, right? And it's up to me to educate you on ways to help conceal and camouflage that. For example, a lot of women, myself included, have the fupa, right? And so we're looking for ways like, how do I conceal? Well, some people aren't, but I still am, okay? And so I am able to educate you, like, for example, peplum. Peplum tops are a great way to hide that lower stomach area and make your waist look smaller. and it's very cute. So again, if you tell me, Krysta, I'm really self-conscious about my arms or my legs, then it's up to me to help educate you, right? And style you in pieces and offer suggestions so that we're not exposing things that you are truly insecure about. So just wanted to make sure that I call that out. And that's why, again, this isn't a cookie cutter process because everybody's different. And I totally understand that. And when talking about personal style and talking about your personal brand, the key word is personal. All right. The next question or point is, you can find these shapes and colors in my closet because it makes me feel blank. So these are going to be pieces, specifically colors and shapes that make you feel good about yourself, right? So also prints. So shapes, colors, prints are all included. So for me, you guys already know, right? Like, give me a cheetah print and I'm going to work a room. Right? Give me some cheetah and that's my element. Now, for some people, it's a color. Some people feel very bold in black. Now, I don't style a lot of black, but again, depends on the occasion. And we'll talk about color psychology and what the colors mean. But even this, so this is actually a full suit. And I wore this suit to the Black Enterprise Disruptor Summit. Talk about turning heads, right? You guys already know my thing, right? You were wearing color to networking events to really turn heads and to be a conversation starter. So this is an example. I might say, if I was working with a stylist, hey, I love showing up in bright colors because it makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel confident. It makes me feel unique, in a sea full of black, grays, and navies. Give me a pop of color so I can show up and let my wardrobe be the icebreaker to meet whoever is in that room. Okay, let me stand out. So that's kind of what I mean by, you can find these shapes and colors in my closet because it makes me feel blank. Okay. Now, sometimes a client might say the opposite. Like, I'm going to actually move my desk up a little bit. Okay. Clients might actually say the opposite, where they're like, you know what? I don't like this color. I don't like this shape because it makes me feel X. Like, for example, horizontal stripes are going to make you appear wider than you are. Okay. So if you're already around body type, shape, wide horizontal stripes are probably not going to be the best thing to style you in unless you want to appear wider. And, this is your own choice, but I wouldn't recommend it. Right. Or large prints. And we'll talk about shapes and all that, in another episode, but just understanding how the size of a particular print is going to make you appear larger in that particular area. So if I had on huge circles on my shirt, it's going to make my top appear larger. So again, just understand, I'm trying not to get too technical, but just understanding how colors affect you, they affect your mood. And we'll again have an episode on color psychology, but sometimes clients are very adamant about not wearing a certain color. It can be triggering. It can remind them of something. So I always try to keep that in mind. And it's important for you to know that as well before starting this style journey, because the worst thing that can happen is after we have your style consultation and everything is a go, and I show up at your house with a rack full of clothes and I'm all excited for your try on haul. And I show up, maybe I want to style you in this hot pink suit and you're like, oh my gosh, hot pink. I hate hot pink. It reminds me of XYZ. I would never wear it. Now I'm like, okay, well, this is something we could have talked about in the beginning because I would have saved me time, X, Y, and Z. So just keeping those types of things in mind. Okay. The next thing, I really like this question, and it's, where do you get your fashion inspiration? Now, this is really, really important. Where do you get your fashion inspiration? I'm going to take a sip because, like I said, the first episode, I forgot to even sip, but not today. Okay. So, where do you get your fashion inspiration? This can be many different things. And honestly, there is no right or wrong answer to this. Okay. So, this can be the internet, this can be blogs, this can be a specific influencer or TikTok. But what it tells me is number one, how are you influenced, right? Is it important for you to be always on trend? Are you always trying to follow the latest trends, right? Or are you a little bit more classic? Maybe you like to have your staples, but every now and then you might see a piece that your favorite actress has on and you might, want to purchase a dupe of that version, right? Um, or sometimes you might say, you know what? I am completely out of the loop and I have no idea even where my inspiration comes from. Actually, I'm not really inspired. And that's okay too. It just lets me know where you are in terms of how you're influenced, what's important to you in terms of trend and being on trend, and just basically what you look to in terms of style. Okay. But again, it's important to note that there is no right or wrong answer on that. The next question is going to be, who are your style icons? So I like to get at least three. 3 to 5 is ideal, but my 3 style icons are X, Y, and Z because they represent what? So I want to know not only who are your style icons, and these are not like who inspires you. These are people that you want to, um, these are people who influence what you wear, right? So let me give you an example. Gabrielle Union is a style icon of mine. Um, Tracy Ellis Ross is a style icon of mine. Krysta McGowan, I'm just kidding. So those women, well, I haven't really paid attention to Gabrielle's fashion lately, to be honest, but I should say being Mary Jane, Gabrielle Union, style icon, hands down. And then another style icon, and this is so it was on All American, so don't judge me. Layla. I love Layla's style. Even though, she's supposed to be in high school or college, I feel like she's a very mature high school, college student. But anyway, I love a lot of times she's in jeans and a blazer. Like that is going to be a go-to of mine. I love blazers. I have so many different colorful blazers in my closet. But those are going to be my style icons where I could actually dress like them. Okay. I hope that makes sense. But please let me know if you have any questions. Yes, yes, style icon. Exactly. I love, 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 love them. Yes, and then also understanding what they represent, right? So why are these people your style icons? And I don't identify with being Mary Jane. I rebuke that. But I do identify with just being a successful Black woman who loves to look professional, but also loves to, still look cute. And that's why I always say my superpower is curating cute, classic, and conservative looks without compromising style. I do not believe that being in corporate America or being in a professional environment, whether you are an entrepreneur, you can still show up and be professional and still be cute. Okay. And I feel like these women exude that. And especially, excuse me, Tracy Ellis Ross, because I feel like she is so daring and creative. And you really never know what you're going to get from her, but it's always going to be just glamorous. And I love how she pushes the needle. So once my client gives me an idea of who some of their style icons are, it makes the process a lot easier and it gives me an idea of the goals that they are trying to attain. I had a client, she told me her style icons were Zoe Kravitz, and Solange. Now, these are honestly at like low-key two different ends of the spectrum. But after Googling, doing some research, I'm like, oh, okay, I see how these two worlds can collide. And it turned out to be a really fun project. So just an example of kind of how style icons impact the process and to identify who they are. And again, it could also be influencers on social media as well, or someone in your family. It doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity, but it has to be someone where I can at least see, what their fashion represents. Okay. Oops. Now, the next question is very, very important. I mean, all of these are important, but this is future state. Remember last week we talked about goal setting. That's exactly what this question is asking. When you see the ideal you, what do you look like? And I want to know head to toe, okay? What does your hair look like? What do you have on? When it's time for you to show up for that important meeting, for that important engagement, what are you wearing? And it's important for you to be able to visualize that. And if you can't, we have to do some more work, right? Some more internal work, because you have to see it. You have to see it. You have to see it for yourself before it's actually going to manifest and come to life. And it's my job as the image consultant and the stylist to help you and to support you through that process, right? But I need you to participate in it as well, right? And so when you tell me what your ideal image or brand is, and you give me specific keywords, I'll ask for, remember we talked about in the first one, what are some of those keywords? So I'll ask the same thing when it comes to the final product, right? Your ideal state, future state. What does it look like? What are some of those words? When you walk into a room, what do you want people to say about you? Okay. If I ask your coworkers, describe Krysta's style, what would they say? What would you want them to say about you? Okay. So it's kind of the same thing, but now we're talking about the future state. And then this one is always kind of tricky, but it is important to note. One potential obstacle to reaching my style goal is, and this helps me know, okay, what is it that I might need to look out for? Okay. Are there confidence issues? Or are there self-awareness issues? Are you opposed to trying new things? Are you risk averse? Right? What do you think some of those barriers to the process could be? And again, this happens all in the beginning of the process. And this is when I tell you I get to know my clients, because this is a very personal journey. It's more than just clothes, right? It's more than clothes. So I want to know, what potential obstacles could I face and could you face to reaching your style goals? And we've established your style goals. So let's make sure we identify risks, right? Because that's what this is. And now I'm pulling out my project management skills, and let's create a mitigation plan, right? What is your risk mitigation plan? How are we going to make sure that this does not get in the way of your process and your style journey? And we work together on this, right? But I can't support you and I can't help you if I don't know what those potential obstacles can be. And not saying that you can predict it, but again, this is why the conversation is so, so important, and being honest and vulnerable. All right, so that was actually the 10th question, but I did add a bonus. And this one probably should have went first, but I like to ask this once the individuals have an idea of, what you're getting into, because again, styling, at least when you work with me, working through the classy method, it's more than just me putting clothes on you. because again, it is a personal journey and it should be a lifelong journey, right? This isn't just a quick, hey, put this on and then that's it. But I also want to educate you through the process, and I want to set you up for success to be stylish moving forward. So the last and bonus question is, are you willing and able to invest? Okay? Invest into this journey. And what does invest mean? It means your time, your energy, and your money and your finances. Okay. First, I want to talk about just time, and depending on the service that you get. But as you can see, because we've only really talked about the C in the Class C method, literally. But you can see that we go pretty deep in just understanding what your style needs are. So this could be a phone call, it could be a questionnaire, it could be Zoom. You know, the consultations are always via Zoom, so I can see my client and work with them. But if you are just way too busy and you can't take the time to really iron out and map out the process, you're not going to be successful on this journey, right? If you are always putting yourself on the back burner and I think I made a post like last week, maybe it was last Monday actually, about asking the question, when is the last time you invested in yourself? As women, we have so many things on our plates. We have so many different priorities, and men too, but my audience is primarily working women. And a lot of them are mothers. A lot of them have jobs, or they might be a corporatepreneur where they're, you know, in corporate America and they have a job. And the last thing that they're thinking about is being able to sit and do something for them. And so I always challenge and am very clear that you will need to set aside some time for this journey. Okay. And you have to prioritize yourself. You deserve it. You work so hard. Why should you be put on the back burner, right? Energy. It is going to take some energy. Now, I will be clear, depending on the service that you get, especially if you're in person, which I always prefer, to be completely honest. But a lot of times I will bring the items to you. So it takes a lot out of the legwork for you. But I still need you to try on clothes, right? Because we're going to have a fit session. I still need you to go through this closet with me when we do the closet cleanse. And that takes energy. It does. It does. I'll bring some wine. Don't worry. I'll bring a little something for us to sip on, maybe some snacks. But at the end of the day, I need you to participate, because it is a process that you have to go through. These are just kind of like the non-negotiables in order to truly be successful in this process. And then lastly, but certainly not least, money. Now, I think it's very interesting that like people will reach out to me and say, you know, like, I can't wait to work with you, but I know I probably can't afford it. Just reach out and ask, like, let me know what you need. I'll share my prices. Just don't assume that it's something that you cannot afford. Now, don't get me wrong. My framework is a luxury service. So let's be clear on that. But I just don't want you to automatically count yourself out without even knowing, you know, how much the services cost. And I have, there's different things that I offer, different services, different tiers. And so let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation to see what you need. And based on your finances, based on your timeline, we can figure out what works best for you. But just don't count yourself out that you don't think that you can invest financially. But that's another thing, talking about priorities and just making yourself priority and investing in yourself. It's important to carve that out and to really sit down and understand what it's going to take for you to execute. Right? Because once we start the process, that ball is going to keep rolling. So I just want to make sure that you are in the right mindset, right? Last week we talked about mindset matters and goal setting. And so this is another key element, is just understanding where you are personally And are you truly ready to invest and go on this amazing, amazing journey of elevation? Because that's truly what it is. Okay. So, those are actually the 10 questions that I typically go through during a style consultation, during a first meeting with a potential client. And the reason why I said that it is important to understand or to know these things before starting your style journey is because you might not have all the answers. Sorry about that. This is going to help the process, okay? So again, you don't necessarily have to have all these questions answered, but I thought it was definitely important to share to really set you up for success, for you to know what to expect, okay? So with that being said, I always share that I would love to support you on this journey. If you have any questions or want to talk through something specifically, let's hop on the phone. I don't know why styling and personal branding can be so intimidating, but that's another reason why I wanted to do these lives and to do this show is because number one, I want you to just get to know me as an individual. You guys see, I'm a normal human being. Like I get up, go to the gym, like I have a normal life, but I've gotten a lot of feedback, just people being just intimidated or feeling like they have to have it all together to work with me. And you guys realize that is my job, right? To help you get your brand together, your personal brand. So, with that said, I do offer free brand discovery calls, and I would love to just have a chat with you, see where you are in your journey. What exciting things do you have coming up? Or maybe you're just ready for a change, you're just ready for a revamp, and that is totally fine, and you absolutely deserve it. So, again, I do offer free brand discovery calls, they are 30 minutes. And let's just see if we're a good fit, and if we're not, I might have someone else, depending on your needs, that I can recommend to you. But again, it all starts with a conversation. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that information. And while we are wrapping up, if nobody has any questions, you guys know I always leave you with a critique of the week. And this week, I actually didn't know what I was going to share. I'm going to take a quick sip. So I wasn't really sure what I was going to share this week, but I was on LinkedIn and I saw somebody posted that today is actually International Self-Care Day. There's a day for everything. So it's International Self-Care Day, not national, because there's apparently a difference. National Self-Care Day is apparently in April. So International Self-Care Day is today, and it actually started on June 24th, and it's a month long, and it goes from 6/24 to 7/24. And what I learned is that it ends today, 7/24, because they are promoting, and they meaning the people, whoever created this day, they are promoting that you actually practice self-care 24/7. So you get it, it's the 24th day of the 7th month. So they're promoting self-care 24/7. And so my critique of the week is, how are you practicing self-care? How? And it made me think about just my own personal journey and what am I doing for self-care? And some people might think, oh, well, you go to the gym, because I do try to work out pretty often, pretty frequently. And that honestly is a part of my self-care. If I don't work out, it's like I get into this slump and it's crazy. But also part of my self-care is retail therapy. Okay. I love shopping. I do. And so the fact that I get paid to do that is just a blessing from the good Lord. But I recently was shopping for a client, and every now and then there'll be just some things that pop out at me and literally pop out the screen and say, Krysta, purchase me. And so I did. And I bought myself 3 pairs of shoes, which and some sunglasses, and I'm really excited about that. And it brought me so much joy. And I haven't really been shopping a lot because I've just been, trying to save money and trying to be responsible, XYZ. But my critique of the week is treat yourself. Okay. Figure out what brings you joy and do it consistently. And if you find yourself getting into a slump or getting into a depression or, prioritizing everyone else, go back to what brings you joy and do it, right? Just do it because you only live once and each day is a present. Each day is a gift, right? That's why it's called the present. So that is going to be my critique of the week. And I would love to know what you all do to practice your self-care. So if you want to just leave a comment or if you want to tag me in something, I would absolutely love that because I'm always looking for ways to expand my self-care routine. And so, yeah, it would just mean a lot to me. So I'm actually going to wrap up on this evening. Thank you all so much for joining. I just truly appreciate, again, the support. Feel free to reach out to me with any future topics that you all would like me to discuss. Again, I do offer free brand discovery calls. Feel free to reach out to me and set up some time. I do have some openings on my calendar. So be sure to, and I'm actually going to comment this. Yes. So be sure to check my calendar. And if something, if it doesn't work out or you don't see the availability, feel free to DM me and then we could probably work something out. So again, thank you all so much for joining me. Have an amazing Monday. I'm going to drink the rest of this champagne and I will see you all next week, next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Keeping It Classy with Krysta, your hostess with the mostest. Thanks again. Cheers. See you next Monday.